Psychologist hired by the state says Ebony Wilkerson has been struggling with her mental health for a decade, unwilling to admit having problems, manipulating responses to doctors who have treated her. According to Dr. Meadows, Wilkerson told him she saw angels on the beach and drove her van into the ocean, her children screaming in the back to avoid hitting the angels. Meadows says Wilkerson was hospitalized in New York in 2005 under similar circumstances.
She was described at the time as hearing voices from demons telling her to kill her family and herself. Now, 9 years later, she's acting on this by trying to kill 3 of her children and to kill herself.
Julianne Morris was finishing up with a defense doctor when she collapsed at the podium. A bailiff moved in quickly to catch her before she hit her head on the floor. And though she was briefly out of it, the assistant public defender quickly came around and EMS were called in to treat her. She's okay and will present the defense case tomorrow.
Anti-Afro Svengalis. Wondering why I played that clip? The point of that clip is to highlight the importance of protecting your respite. And what do I mean by that? If you are on professionally and the situation is very stressful and it causes certain things to happen, whether you fall out, whether you get sick, whatever happens, any job can be stressful. I'm just vouching for the stress that is involved when you're dealing with justice involved individuals. For this reason, I don't have my entire caseload with justice involved clients. It is extremely stressful as much as I enjoy the work. But here's the kicker. I'm getting paid to do that. So if I'm going to fall out in a courtroom, or I'm going to go sit on a bench for 2 hours after I've been on a witness stand for 20 minutes and everything gets grinded to a halt, they're going to pay me for that. Nobody is paying me to come onto YouTube and drag my professional duties, responsibilities into YouTube or any social media environment. Same goes with my other respites, my sports group, getting together with family and friends. Okay, yeah, you talk about your job in passing, in general, just in general. It's not consuming me when I leave, physically leave the spaces. Now, I can't help it. I can get phone calls and do any time of the day or night, but that's very different from being physically present where people are focusing on you and they're expecting you to do what you're supposed to do. That's very different. There are people, however, who would have you think that yes, you are going to be subjected to those same pressures, and we're going to lay them on you by doing what? Threatening your life, threatening your family, threatening to call a contractor or an employer and lie on you. All kinds of things people will try to impose upon you. But here's the situation. Remember, I'm recording the video, so I'm speaking from my perspective first. I will do anything I need to do to protect my respite time, which means I would never allow anyone to issue threats of violence against me or subject me to any illegal conduct. I am going to take action. Thankfully, the overwhelming majority of people here in this YouTube space, this YouTube blogs, whatever you want to call it, haven't engaged in that behavior. Yes, they can talk all the shit they want, but relatively few have crossed the line to the point I had to get law enforcement involved. And there is nothing anybody can say or do to me to dissuade me from that position. I mean, you have folks up here bragging and laughing every time they have one of those Karen videos and they've targeted one of us and people want their jobs called. But here in this YouTube space, they expect you to subject yourself to any type of abuse and threats they want to perpetrate on you. And they tell you not to call law enforcement because we're black. If you want to fall for that crap, you can. What you can't do, and you as you understood who this applies to, you can't impose that on me. I will never accept that. Anyone else out there, I say to you, you don't have to accept that. If you are trying to protect your respite and people are coming at you with illegal activity, you have every single right to put a stop to it by engaging law enforcement. These are extreme behaviors that people are engaging in because they're seeking to control everything you say and do. Now, if someone is a public servant and they're acting out of line, and there are very specific policies that you can point to, that is the public servant's own responsibility. The person decided to engage in the behavior. How in the hell would it be your fault if a person decided to disregard codes of conduct and policy that governs their conduct 24/7? If they decide not to abide by that, they can't impose anything on you. You have a right to do whatever you feel you need to do within the confines of the law to get the behavior to stop. It is beyond asinine when you hear people like Dumpsey say, "You took this off YouTube." He wants you to keep it on YouTube so he can continue perpetrating his abusive tactics on you. Here we have it. He is up here threatening to send people or a person after an individual he didn't agree with. I'm going to send this person to your house. I'm going to expose your family. You mind you, this is a public servant making a threat to, quote, expose someone's family and then saying he's going to send someone to this person's house. There's only one way to handle that. Get the law involved. You don't have to do that. That's how I would handle it. There's no way I'm going to go back and forth with Dumpsey on anything. Any threats to my physical safety or anyone that I care about, I'm going to go off YouTube. It doesn't matter to me what anybody says, what names they call me. And I will say this, though, a lot more people have lied about me reporting them than I've actually reported. And this is something that's significant. I have never reported any lie. Anything I ever report has documentation to go along with it. The same thing goes for any information that is posted on this channel. What's posted on this channel is not for enemies. If enemies want to look at it, they can, but I'm not posting anything to appease any enemy. An enemy has an objection to what I post, that's their problem. I'm not going to sit here and fret and worry or change what I'm going to do because I'm worried about what an enemy thinks when it comes to what's posted on this channel. This is just revisiting an issue we've talked about in an abbreviated form. I will continue to do what I'm doing to protect the respite that I have chosen. And it doesn't include engaging individuals who are enemies. I don't indulge that. So the enemy can do whatever the enemy does, which is engage in demonic behavior. We're seeing it front and center. I will not be going along with it. Anything that I have, anything that I report, anything I talk about, there's documentation to go along with it. We know the opposite does not occur. This, oh, you doxed me here, you doxed me there, and they never provide any sort of proof. How can you provide proof of something that doesn't exist? That's the question. Be safe out there. Never deprioritize your safety. Never allow people to guilt you into doing what you know is best when it comes to protecting yourself, those you care about and love. You know the drill. Buyer beware.